All right, how are you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. My name is Giovanni Lopez, and I am presenting to you episode 6 of Serial. Let's get started. Okay, so in the beginning, I'm going to just summarize the whole entire episode because I'm pretty sure most of you have forgotten basically what happened. So I'm just going to go to a brief summary, and then later on, I'm just going to present you my curiosity question. So this whole episode was based on the investigation of Anand during the time where he was, put on trial. And these are just all the other people who are testifying against him in this matter. So Jay and her friends and people that were affiliated in this particular time before Haig's murder. So this is just basically this whole entire summary of what happened the day before the actual killing has happened. So starting with the beginning, there was a phone call towards Anand. So this is when they got a phone call from the cops after the murder, has happened, and Adnan, answered the phone call, but he was acting very, inhibited or some influence on drugs or something like that. So he wasn't very he was very oblivious of what was going on. He was very dumbfounded. He wasn't unable to comprehend what was going on. So he was just pretty slow with it. And so the next part was Laura explaining what she saw, and she said that she saw a dead body that Anon, presumably showed to other people, but she didn't really physically check for herself. She's just going on by whatever somebody else said, and she hasn't been verified. So, and another part was that the Nishan call before Jay's murder. So during the court or during the trial, she was called in to testify against, and she said that she got called by Anon, or he supposedly butt dialed her, and pretty much they called her and everything. And yeah, so then we had Kathy's testimony against Anon that she was with Jay the entire time, or he was with Jay the entire time during the whole you know investigation. And the Lincoln Park that calls from Jen, when they supposedly buried the body. And now going on to my curiosity question, my question was this a fair trial? Basically. So basically, I'm just going to be talking about evaluating the whole evidence that was, held against the Nod in this matter. And in a court system, they always have to bring out something very relevant to the cases. If it's not relevant, if it's argumentative, there's speculation, there's no foundation of, him, actually committing the crime. So I'm just gonna go by a list of things that I found that was sources that they use in courtroom. So the first thing was the phone towers in this matter. This was not accurate evidence because sometimes the phone towers can be inaccurate when phone calls or call logs are called in a specific time, but they're not always recorded in the exact moments. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the fingerprints of the book that Adnan had touched during the murder. The fingerprints wasn't valid either because anybody can get their hands on a book and have 50 pages and everything like that. Going through this whole entire thing, and I don't think this would be a good source of presenting to the trial or presenting to jurors that this guy had planted this thing because his fingerprints was on it, but at the same time anybody can put their hands on a phone book and just say what, this guy had done the crime because he put his hands on it. I don't think this is a good source in this matter. The only thing I think that was actually pretty relevant was here is the witnesses who saw it. But at the same time, I mean, it is good to know that people who actually saw it or supposedly seen it could be a good source in this matter. But at the same time, are they lying about it? Are they just going by, somebody has told them to say these things in order for him to cover his ass or cover himself? So that way he doesn't go have to serve time or have to do anything, be involved in, getting, incarcerated or anything like that. And then we have Jay's testimony. Obviously, the majority of us could agree that he was not a credible source in this matter because he has changed his story 3 times in a row, and he was like pretty much lying multiple times of what was going on. He didn't want to tell the truth in the beginning because he felt like he would get in trouble for it. But at the same time, I mean, if you're under oath, you have to tell the truth 100% because if you're telling a lie, then you're pretty much trying to incriminate somebody for a crime that they have not committed. So at this matter, I mean, he shouldn't be used at all in this uh, in this trial. And pretty much the phone call before her murder, I would say pretty much the Nishan call, the call that could have been used to help Adnan in this point because she was with or not with them, but contacting them before the murder had happened. But it could have basically said where they were in that location, where they were, and all that part. And Laura being a possible actual witness of seeing the body, but at this point she was just hearing out from a third person, you know, hey, this guy saw this body there, and she told Laura about it. So, I mean, that's not likely to be a good source because it's just going off from, someone else. So, this is something I looked on online, and this was something that actually caught my attention. This is actually pretty good for, if you were actually, I mean, if your first time, becoming a jury or doing jury duty, I think this would be something to look at, just to, have a good understanding of how like the system works and like when it comes to convicting a person of a crime. So like this is the levels of proof that I'm trying to show you guys. And for this whole staircase, this is a representing of like the levels of proof. So it's just going on from like no evidence to reasonable doubt. So each of these levels are pretty much saying like from from the first one is just basically no evidence. People don't have anything held against this person, so they're for that they can't be convicted of a crime, so they'll be proven not guilty in this matter. Then we have scintilla, so any evidence at all, even if it's like the smallest evidence, still doesn't have an admission of guilt. So, and for that case, not guilty. Reasonable suspicion has a specific and particular facts of reasons, but not based on a hunch of guess. So pretty much going by your own instincts still doesn't have enough proof or enough evidence to convict a person of a crime. And so far and so forth, it's pretty much going on. But the only time when a person can be guilty of a crime is if they pass this last staircase of beyond reasonable doubt. So if it's beyond reasonable doubt, this person can be guilty of the crime. So saying like beyond reasonable doubt is that they have enough evidence, they have physical evidence, they have the person on site seeing, doing the killing, they have all the witnesses who've actually saw it, and, like 100% sure, like 110% to be, more accurate, is that no matter what, there's no question about it, there's enough evidence, it's 100% that this guy did it, we saw him, we have the fingerprints, we have the physical evidence, we have everything on this person. So from there, like it's beyond reasonable doubt. It's like there's no way it can be anybody else in this matter. So yeah, just something to like try to look at. In case if you like sometime in the future if you have jury duties, this is something that you can educate yourself in. So from all the things that I've said already about was it a fair trial? Was there enough evidence to convict non in this matter? I would say that it's not enough. There has to be more than that in order to convict him. But in this matter, he just pretty much got screwed up by the system. But, you know, sometimes it's just like, it could be good, it could be bad, because you never know. Like, some people who've actually been convicted of a murder but didn't had enough evidence held against them, still there are possibilities that this person could have been convicted of that crime. But at the same time, like, some criminals get away with stuff because there's not enough evidence, and there has to be, like, like, there's pretty much, you just have to, be going by your instinct sometimes. I mean, I don't really want to say that, but at some points you do have to, like, have good judgment. But in this matter, I mean, like, there was nothing, like, really, like, there was no actual physical evidence that he'd done it. So, I mean, that was just, something that kind of, like, triggers me a little bit. But there was something that I wanted to talk about, is that there was another possible suspect of this matter that actually had done, could have been possibly strangled Hay in this story. And I did a research on this person named Ronald Lee Moore, who actually was a person that lived in that jurisdiction, and who's actually did some similar, like, crimes against women. So I was looking into it, and it says that this guy was, after, like, before his murder, he was, like, released from prison. So there could have been a possible way that this person might have had to do with it, but it's not 100% guarantee that this guy has done it, but there's a high chance of him actually being the possible suspect. So just something to be, something to look at, but, just gotta be sure when people are being convicted of a crime is that they have everything 100%. Otherwise, you're letting somebody else run off with, murder, and pretty much, someone, getting killed for no reason. Like, I mean, someone getting put in jail for no reason. And yeah, so basically, yeah, that's my whole presentation. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys actually learned something from it. Hopefully, the summarization kind of got you back on track on what was going on in episode 6. But, I would just, like, let you guys make the judgment of whether he was not guilty or guilty. And yeah, just hopefully this helps you guys. Hopefully this will help you with your paper. Hopefully this gives you, some idea. But yeah, thank you for listening and have a great day.